It's been over 3 years since the Resistive and T fires destroyed hundreds of homes in our foothills, but many of those structures are only now being rebuilt. The reasons for the long timeline are many, but the results are dramatic. The homes that have emerged from the ashes are significantly different from their predecessors, not just in architectural style or size, but in their ability to survive the next wildfire. There are new standards that require buildings in these wildfire-prone areas to be more fire-resistant, but the change was equally driven by residents who didn't want to relive the trauma of losing a home to fire again.
It was difficult. It was a knockdown punch. And it's something, and I'm not attached to things per se very much, but having the little nest you created disappear, it's daunting.
Just kind of, shock. Not really that upset yet, because I don't think it hit us for a while, what it entailed and what it really meant. It was just amazing, the devastation,
For the Wilson and Harlan families and many others, the beauty and serenity of the area outweighed the alternative, moving.
The decision to rebuild came within 5 minutes of knowing it had burned. I think my husband called our architect and said, "I want to be at the top of your list."
We love this place so much, it didn't even occur to us not to rebuild here, but I didn't want to be nervous.
Deciding to stay while knowing our area's propensity for wildfire, the Wilsons and Harlans plan to build the most fire-resistant houses possible.
We can absolutely count on fire coming through this area again. If it's happened that many times in the past, it's going to happen again in the future. So it's not really a case where you want to pick and choose. You want to invest to the point that you can in fire resistance.
Both families enlisted the help of architects who had experience with fire-resistive design and construction techniques.
I think you learn a lot of lessons when you lose your house in the fire, and you don't want to leave anything to chance. And Mike Wilson especially was very adamant about no combustible material on the outside of this house. And I learned that personally, having watched my own house go up in flames.
A lot of the homes that burn down don't burn down when the main part of the fire comes through. That happens very quickly, but they burn down because something catches on fire, like wood furniture on the porch or landscaping that's up under the eaves, and that then catches the house on fire and the house burns down. So it's really very important to pay attention to the fuel that is available to a fire around your home. So any existing home can be made a lot more fire resistant.
The basic principle of fire-resistive design and construction is address the weak links, those areas of a structure where fire is most likely to ignite, burn, or gain access.
With some of those history lessons that we've learned in past wildland fires, we were really able to kind of dissect these areas of a general single-family dwelling where fire has either crept in or has caused the house to catch fire.
You can have a complete house that's all figured out, but one combustible access point will bring fire into your house, and you lose your whole house that way. So we've really tried to be consistent into how we applied the non-combustible materials all the way around the exterior of the house.
And that means special attention given to the eaves, roof, windows, and walls.
Eaves are a really important component of the fire-safe design. Literally, we get sundowner winds that blow down from right up there on Montecito Peak, and if you look in the distance, that's right where the T fire started. They'll blow regularly 60, 70 miles an hour downhill right down this canyon. And so how the eaves address that wind load is a really important component. So that's why we wrap the steel finished integral color plaster right up over from the walls right out to the end, and then the metal fascia and gutter, which was an integral system, was basically designed to have minimum wind resistance, and also it's all structurally engineered to handle 120 mile an hour winds. So we're pretty much set for a major blast, which we can get some fairly significant gusts. But also if the fire comes, there's no place for the fire to actually get inside the house. This is all dual pane tempered exterior glazing, and the amount of heat that actually goes through the window is dramatically reduced from what they had before, which was all single pane windows.
Of course, the roof is a very vulnerable part of the house, so this home has steel roofing. And they also found that the attic of homes is vulnerable to the embers from fires. So this home is designed with spray-in foam insulation, so there's no exterior vents required, so there's no way for the embers to get into the attic or roof space.
You can use the classic Santa Barbara Spanish tile as well that we've seen. Some of the way it's installed might be a little different to kind of get rid of those concealed spaces to let any of the embers come in. But as far as siding and the kind of horizontal faces of houses, a lot of people have the older style homes that kind of have the batten board, and we've also found that there's areas that will let those embers creep in. So we really encourage, and there are some standards that deal with a non-combustible siding of a house. The easiest way to achieve that is as the example here with kind of the stucco finish that kind of reduces or eliminates all those gaps to let those embers in.
But fire experts say to really increase the odds of your home surviving a wildfire, you have to take a holistic approach and go beyond just the structure.
There's also a lot of other pieces of that puzzle. One of them being access just to get to the house itself. That's one piece of the puzzle. Another is the water supply for us, or even outside agencies coming in to be able to make a stand for that house. And people forget about the simple things too, an address number on your house, or an address number at the street to let us know that there is a residence down there. These little things that can maybe slip by people's thoughts are something that are very key for us in case of an emergency, whether it be a wildland fire or even a medical emergency.
And just as important, you have to plant a fire-resistant landscape and maintain defensible space.
The idea of defensible space is that your house is defendable on its own. It can stand alone. If a wildland fire moves through this area, your house will still be remaining afterwards. It also means that firefighting resources can come into and around your home and actually do some structure protection around your home so that they're safe and they can protect your home at the same time.
Defensible space is a strategy developed by fire experts calling years of experience with hundreds of wildfires. The approach breaks down the area surrounding a structure into 4 zones determined by distance.
Zone 1 is 0 to 30 feet from a structure. Zone 2 is 30 to 50 feet, working out. Zone 3 is 50 to 70 feet, and then our Zone 4 is 70 to 150 feet in this case.
For each of these zones, the defensible space strategy gives you a menu of plants to select from.
The first zone, Zone 1, is low-growing plants, minimizing the amount of vegetation, hardscaping. Zone 2 also tends to be, it has a little bit more plant material, maybe a little bit closer spacing, but it's also Mediterranean plants, low-growing succulents, that sort of thing. Both the Zone 1 and Zone 2 would be irrigated areas. As you move out into Zone 3, that tends to be more Mediterranean plants. It's where you get a little bit higher vegetation, where your height of your vegetation would be 3 feet, for example. But what you need to remember is that even if it's 3 feet, you still want spacing between your plant material. What that does is breaks up the continuity of a fire moving towards your house. If you have a continuous amount of vegetation towards the house, you're going to have a greater intensity. If you have spacing in between that, it reduces the intensity of a fire.
Zone 4, the furthest from the structure, should contain native vegetation that is kept thinned with all dead material removed.
The oak tree is limbed up 6 feet from the ground. Fire moving through stays as a ground fire and does not burn into the canopy of the trees where it's a much more intense fire.
To see what fire-resistive construction and defensible space look like in person, on September 29th, the local chapter of the American Institute of Architects will offer tours of homes built using these techniques. Tour-goers will not only be able to see how attractive homes built in this manner can be, they'll also be able to meet the architects that design them and the people who live in them.
If you're thinking about building in town, and in fact, even if you already have a house in town, if you're in the fire zone, you really should just expect that it's going to happen. You shouldn't think, oh, you know, there but for the grace of God go I. I think, I'm going to go there. This is going to happen. Because, boy, a little bit of preparation can save you a lot of heartache.
Oh, I feel like I'm in a fortress. Yep. I've had neighbors say, when the fire next thing comes, we're coming to your house.
There's a lot of lessons learned from all of the fires that we've been through. We know that we are going to have wildland fire come through this area again. The benefit of having this tour is that we can share our experiences with architectural design, with landscaping design, with firefighting, what works, what doesn't work, and having that dialogue and showing people examples of that, talking about it, having the discussion is going to make us a more defendable community in the long run.
This looks so cool. Yeah, okay.